Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
More now on our main story, and with the referendum just 2 weeks away, you may still be making up your mind over how to vote. Maybe this will help. Our top editors have been answering some of your questions.
Harrison Taylor has asked, would Britain still enjoy long-term economic growth if the country leaves the EU? Well, the short answer to that is probably yes. But I think it's the speed of that growth which is the important issue. A lot of major economic organisations have suggested there would be a short-term economic shock, even a recession, if Britain were to leave the EU, and that over the longer term growth would be slower. But those that support Brexit argue that freed from what they see as the shackles of the European Union, and with the ability to sign new trade deals with countries like America and China, Britain's growth would bounce back. Of course, the longer you look into the future, the harder it is to make any judgments about the shape of the UK economy.
Beverly from Oxford asks, is it true the House of Commons might vote to stay in, even if the public wants out? Well, it's true that MPs would have to pass new laws if we vote to leave. It's also true that most MPs actually want to stay in. It's been suggested that some of them might group together and try to keep us in the single market, the giant trade area. But that would be pretty controversial and perhaps not very democratic. And the Prime Minister has always been clear. A vote to leave means leave.
Tony from Andover asks if the minimum wage is one of the main reasons that we get so many immigrants. Well, I think from the EU, certainly yes. While there are jobs here, people will look around Europe, and we do have one of the highest levels of minimum wage, and that I think is something of a draw. The living wage coming in now, rising to £9 an hour by 2020. That's also likely to have a significant impact. That said, more than half the EU migrants coming to the UK are graduates and are likely to be largely unaffected by the minimum wage.
Next question. Is Remain a vote for a European superstate and uncontrolled migration? Well, you know, there is an element of crystal ball gazing about both the Remain and the Leave campaigns. But that freedom for European citizens to live and work across the bloc, it's a core EU principle, and it won't change. But is Turkey about to join? Would all of its people free to move to the UK? No, it really is light years away from meeting the required criteria. So what of that federal superstate? Well, some politicians still dream of that, but they are few and far between. The people of Europe, the voters, have never been so Eurosceptic. They want more power for national parliaments, not Brussels.
Hannah from York wants to know what would happen to the price of food if we left the EU. Well, Europe protects its farmers and puts tariffs on food coming in from outside, like this piece of New Zealand lamb. If we got outside the EU, we could import as much of this as we liked. Good for consumers, not so good for British farmers. Also, we couldn't stop the EU putting tariffs on our food exports, and then we might feel obliged to retaliate. So some could go down, others could go up. Like everything in trade, it's a trade-off.
Well, our editors have been answering your questions throughout the day. You can find special coverage of that on our website. bbc.co.uk/news is the address you need.
I've been getting away